What's going on, guys? It's etaprime back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Lenovo Tab M8 FHD. The FHD stands for Full HD. Now, some of my regular viewers might be a little confused because recently I did a review on the Tab M8 HD, and these are not the same tablets. 2 days after I made the video on the HD version, they announced the FHD, so I figured I'd go ahead and pick it up, and I actually got this for cheaper. It does have more RAM, a better CPU, and a higher resolution screen. Regular price on this is going to be about $160, but as of making this video, they are on sale for $124. Like I said in my review of the M7 and the M8 HD, I love the design that Lenovo is going for now. Build quality and design of these new Tab series tablets is absolutely amazing. Some of the best that I've seen. I love the slim design, aluminum back, and the screens, even on the HD version, are absolutely amazing for what it is. But I haven't been impressed with performance on any of these tablets. Now, hopefully this will change my mind. This has an 8-core 2.3 GHz CPU instead of a quad-core 2 GHz, and it's packing an extra gig of RAM over the M8 HD. So inside of the box, you're going to get a tablet, a micro USB charging cable, and a 2-amp wall charger. Unfortunately, Lenovo hasn't swapped over to USB Type-C on these lower-end tablets. So like I mentioned, it's still using micro USB. Over on the right-hand side, we have our power button and volume rocker. They've also left the 3.5mm audio jack for your headphones. It's a single speaker setup, it's tuned by Dolby, and it does sound pretty decent. I mean, it's not the loudest tablet that I've heard, but it'll get you by for a smaller tablet. And the tablet does support up to a 2TB micro SD card. Around back, we have an 8-megapixel camera and a very sleek aluminum design. This only comes in one color, and it's known as iron gray. One of the main things I love about the new Lenovo Tab series is the screens. Now, this is the best one that I've seen so far. It's an 8-inch IPS 1080p display. It definitely looks better than the M8 HD version because it's much higher resolution. And just to give you a quick comparison between the FHD, which we have on the left, and the HD version on the right, they're exactly the same size. They look exactly the same, minus the colors. As for the specs on the M8 FHD, for the CPU, we have the MediaTek P22T. This is an octa-core CPU, 4 A53 cores at 2.3 GHz, and 4 A53 cores at 1.8. For the GPU, we have the PowerVR GE8320. Unfortunately, this is the same GPU that was in the HD version. 3 GB of LPDDR3 RAM, so we're up by 1 gig over the HD. An 8-inch IPS 1080 by 1920 display, and these look really good. Dual band AC Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 5.0, 32 GB of internal storage with support for a micro SD card up to 2 TB when it's formatted correctly. It needs to be exFAT to use a 2 TB card. And the tablet is running Android 9.0. It is a pretty stock version of Android, but they have included some bloat. Most of it can be completely deleted, but there's a few apps that can't be deleted, like the Lenovo Support app and the Dolby Tuner. So as the user experience goes with this little tablet, everything's been really smooth. I haven't had any issues at all. I mean, overall, it's working great, like most new tablets should. And just like the M8 HD, this is a great little tablet for viewing videos if you want to stream from, let's say, Plex. I'm actually connected to a server that's pretty far away from where I am right now. And I'm going to be streaming in 1080p. All the decoding is done on the server itself that I'm streaming from. This tablet is simply taking the feed and letting me watch it here. But it works great. So all streaming services are going to work great on here, whether it be HBO, Amazon Prime, Hulu, Netflix, and even YouTube video playback is great. 1080p, 60 FPS is no problem at all for this little tablet.
Yeah, Grandpa's death was death.
Marriage was shut in, must have been a blast.
I'm sure Margaret wasn't the easiest to get along with.
But this also worked very well on the M8 HD. Now you will get 1080p here instead of 720, and that might be a big plus for some people. But now it's time to get into the benchmarks. I want to see how much more powerful this chip is than the lower end M8 HD, and how it stacks up against the $150 Amazon Fire HD 10. So first up, we have Geekbench 4. Single core for the FHD version, 909, multi 3956. We definitely beat out the M8 HD in multi-core because we have 8 cores instead of 4, but the Amazon Fire HD 10 destroyed us in both of these tests. I also wanted to test out Geekbench 5, single core, 165, multi, 878. Even with the higher clock CPU in this tablet, we're right on par with the single core score of the M8 HD, but it did beat it out in multi. Unfortunately, I just couldn't get this test to run on the Fire 10 HD. So the last two tests we saw were CPU benchmarks. Now it's time to move over to some GPU testing. We have 3D Mark with Slingshot Extreme. We're right on par with the M8 HD because it does have the same GPU. And as you can see, the Fire 10 HD totally destroyed the GPU scores of these tablets. And finally, we have Antutu 8, 101,766. It was much higher than the M8 HD, but again, the Fire 10 HD beat this out. And if you're looking at a more expensive tablet, think about the Tab S6 at 377,856. I also ran a quick Wi-Fi test over my AC network, 285 down, 22.5 up. Overall, really good speeds here. Now it's time for some native Android gaming. Here we have King of Fighters All-Stars. Everything's on low, just like it tested with the M8 HD, and we're still experiencing some lag here, even with more cores and a higher clock on the CPU. This really comes down to it having the same exact GPU as the HD version. It's not as bad as I've seen in some other lower-end tablets, but the lag is noticeable when there's a lot of particles on screen. Minecraft Pocket Edition definitely seemed like it performed better than it did on the M8 HD, but overall I did have to turn the chunks down on this one. And finally, for native Android gaming, Call of Duty Mobile. It performs really well on here at the low settings. It surprised me on the M8 HD, and it's also doing a great job here. This is a playable game on these little tablets, but this is a very well optimized game.
Keep it up. Predator missile inbound.
The controller I'm using here is the iPega 9167. Great controller, I just did a full review on it. So it's pretty hard to recommend this tablet for Android gaming, and it's also pretty hard to recommend it for emulation. Here we have the Redream emulator running Dreamcast. This is Soul Calibur. Works great, but this is an easier one to run. But if we try to run something a little harder, like Dead or Alive 2, it's just not going to cut it. I've seen it dip down to around 38 FPS in some situations. So it's definitely not going to run every Dreamcast game at full speed, even with this great emulator. And the same goes for PSP. A lot of the lower end stuff's going to work fine, but God of War Chains of Olympus and harder ones to run just aren't going to cut it, even at 1x resolution with all of the hacks on. But there is one thing that I can recommend this tablet for. Due to the great Wi-Fi built into this thing, game streaming works phenomenally. This is Project xCloud. I've also tested Steam Link and NVIDIA GeForce Now. But I've been using Project xCloud a lot lately, streaming from their servers. You can also stream from your own Xbox One or your Xbox One X. This is Dirt Rally 2.0 running in Project xCloud. I'm using the iPega 9167 controller. I personally think that the form factor here is perfect for streaming games, and I also love this 1080p display. So in the end, just like the Lenovo Tab M8, it's really hard for me to recommend this, especially at the $160 price tag. If this was sitting at $99 and you need something for game streaming, I think this would be an awesome little option. Pair it with a controller like the iPega, and you'll be good to go. But the performance for native Android gaming and emulation is very lackluster for a $160 tablet. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I really appreciate you watching. If you have any questions or you want to see anything else tested with the Lenovo Tab M8 FHD, just let me know in the comments below. But like always, thanks for watching.